Hi, my name is Aisha Gordon-Hiles and I'm an accredited counsellor, an author and a coach. And I'm here today to share with you 5 strategies that you can use to help to maintain the connection you have with yourself and improve your self-love. Okay, so the first is something that I only really integrated into my life recently. I tried it for the first time at the beginning of the year, and it is something that I will make sure that I implement into my life every year going forward. And that is to spend time alone. So I took a trip away at the beginning of the year and I spent it entirely alone. I took a week by myself and I went because I thought it was going to be good for me. I thought that I would enjoy it. I thought I'd have time to connect with myself and be in nature, etc. And I did. But I don't think I could have anticipated how magnificent the time was actually going to be, and also how long lasting the effects have been since I've come back. So I would say to you, take some time out and spend it alone, at least a week a year. So the next thing is something that kind of goes hand in hand with the tip from before, and that is to spend time in silence. Now, I did a lot of that on my trip that I mentioned to you before. I minimized my screen time. I spent the majority of the time connecting with nature, reflecting, reading, and just generally being in silence. And for me, this one is an interesting one because I love music. Music has got me through so many different things in my life, and I'm somebody who will listen to music 24/7. And so at the moment, what I'm practicing is that I'm kind of substituting music. So sometimes I will listen to a mentally enriching podcast, or I will not listen to anything at all and have that silence. And so what I want to encourage you to do is to take time to have silence, right? There's a reason why when we have exams at school, we are sat in silence to do them. And although it's torture, the reason for doing it is because we need to be able to concentrate. Have you ever tried to concentrate in a room where there's loads of people around you talking? I mean, I have, and it just does not work. I was in the, steam room today, and people were talking, and I was really trying to just focus on connecting with my body and being with my body, and it was really frustrating and it was really irritating. We can't connect with ourselves and we can't deepen our love for ourselves without being able to spend time in silence with ourselves. So that's my tip 2 for you. My tip 3 is a really, really important one because I think it's to do with something that we often neglect in our lives, and that's our bodies. So in order to foster a relationship of self-love, in order to have self-understanding, in order to continue a connection with ourselves, we need to be connected with ourselves, and our bodies are us. You know, our body houses everything that we have that is actually ours. If everything in the world were to disappear, the one thing that we would be left with is our body. So we do need to look after our bodies. Now, our bodies are very triggering. For a lot of people, bodies are triggering for lots of different reasons. So I would encourage you to take your time with this one and to spend time with your body in small baby steps at first if you're not used to doing it. It could be that you start practicing some yoga. It could be that you start practicing eating in silence. It could be that you practice some self-massage, but connecting with your body in a positive way is a really, really important part of this journey. So the next tip is one that is really, really close to my heart. It is something I practice myself. It's something I do with my clients, and that is the practice of self-forgiveness. You can't have self-love, self-acceptance, and connect with yourself without forgiving yourself. You're a human, you're going to make mistakes, you're going to do things wrong, you're going to have regrets, you're going to have hindsight that tells you how you should have done something that you didn't do it, but you should have done something that you didn't do. And at the end of the day, all of those things are part of a human experience, right? So it's really important to make sure that you practice self-forgiveness, because without it, you can't have the self-love, you can't have the self-acceptance, and you don't really have a connection with who you are as a person. One of the things that I always encourage people to do is get comfortable with saying I'm sorry. Get comfortable with acknowledging where you may or may not be wrong and apologising, not just to people, but to yourself. Get comfortable with saying, I've done this thing wrong. I regret that I've done this thing. I'm sorry that I've done this thing, and I forgive myself for doing this thing. You're not always going to get that forgiveness from the external world, so the practice of self-forgiveness is really, really important. And the last thing I want to mention, although it's not the only thing, and these 5 things that I've mentioned are not the only things, but the last one for today is writing for wellbeing. Now, this is something that I'm absolutely crazy about. It's something that I do on a very, very, very regular basis, and I would encourage you to do the same. Now, I do run writing for wellbeing workshops, and unless you're doing this in a workshop, there's not really a right or wrong way to do this, which is great. Just put pen to paper and write. There are days when I don't really know what I want to say, but I know that I need to offload some energy. I know that I need to rid my body of something. And so I will literally start with, I don't know what to write. Other days, there are things on my mind that I know I need to process, and my writing will be a bit more intentional. Whatever way you choose to do it, do what feels right at that time and try to do it without judgment. Now, writing and free writing in this way is not the only way that you can practice writing for wellbeing, but it's the one that I'll give to you today because the others require a little bit more guidance and tools and techniques and tips to help you do it. But there you have it. Those are my 5 strategies that I would implement in terms of maintaining a connection with yourself and going on your journey of self-love and self-acceptance. I really hope you enjoyed them. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below.